biggest things that happened, well, it's what happened immediately after Triple H left the ring. Because the lights go out and everybody kind of has a general feeling of what could come next. We kind of figured that Tribal Combat was going to start the show. But who really starts the show? Who better than the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, depending on who you used to listen to. And it's The Rock, and The Rock comes out. He's got the People's Championship that was given to him by the wife of Muhammad Ali last year leading up to WrestleMania. I was thrilled because remember, night one of WrestleMania, that was when my wife was like, we have to go. Like, of course we're going to go. As long as the tickets aren't like ridiculously, we're going to go. And we did, and it was great. Got to watch The Rock with the fire, the Brahma Bull on the stage. On fire. It was great, right? The Rock got the pin on Cody Rhodes that night. And if you remember, one of the last appearances on TV, The Rock left Cody Rhodes covered in his own blood. Then there was the bad blood PLE. When The Rock comes out and kind of gives the throat slash to Cody Rhodes, you're like, oh boy, we're picking that up, huh? But it was almost immediate. Like I knew this was not going to be a continuation of the final boss. And maybe the thing that should have given it away to everybody was The Rock's daughters were there. And he kind of hit you with the TU, right? He hit you with the sound that you're used to hearing from Maui that he then also explains as part of Samoan culture. So he kind of laid out for you that Dwayne Johnson was there. Maybe not The Rock and certainly not the final boss. And he cuts this long, flowery kind of promo where he's talking about how great it is that WWE has partnered with Netflix and shouts out the executives. And then he gets into the part that a lot of people have been pissed off about all week and have been trying to rationalize to themselves. And that's The Rock giving the flowers verbally to Cody Rhodes, who for some reason is in the front row of the show. Now, there's a possibility that WWE thought to themselves, oh, well, if Cody Rhodes is in the front row, that might look a little bit weird, but we're going to show throughout the course of 3 hours that other champions are also sitting out in the stands because, well, there's, Tiffany Stratton's out there. She just won a championship. She's out there. Braun Breaker's out there. They highlighted a whole bunch of people. Shinsuke Nakamura was out there. They're going all around, and you get celebrities, and you get cutaways to this champion, that champion. You get Rey Mysterio, who spins around. He's got the Eddie Guerrero shirt on. You have all this stuff going on, right? They show Topanga. They show Macaulay Culkin. And more. So a big celebrity thing. Showing you SmackDown's finest. Also out in the crowd. But Cody Rhodes, in the full three-piece suit with, of course, the complimentary pocket watch with he's dressed to the nines, right? Why is he in the front row? Why does Cody Rhodes, who's featured prominently on every advertising material for Raw on Netflix, he's front and center. Even if you go on to Netflix right now, where as of recording, Raw sits as the #1 program on Netflix in the top 10, Cody Rhodes is dead center. And yet he doesn't get his entrance on what they're billing as the biggest Raw in history. Some called it the biggest show in the history of WWE because of the mainstream acceptance of what the WWE had finally accomplished. And yet he doesn't get the entrance. He doesn't get the rub. He doesn't get to stand in the ring with The Rock. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, board member more so than the final boss, gives him his flowers that he's carried the company for a year, which on a human level, you go, hey, it's a good moment. That's really cool. And had it not been for the fact that they spent all of last year's build to WrestleMania with The Rock beating the holy hell out of Cody Rhodes, leaving him a bloody mess, covering a belt that says Mama Rhodes with Cody Rhodes. Had it not been for that, well then sure, people would have been like, oh, this is really nice. Great moment between The Rock giving the flowers to Cody Rhodes, giving him the rub. Really great moment. Cody Rhodes isn't like, I don't want to be insensitive. He's not a Make-A-Wish kid, right? Like Cody Rhodes is the champion. He's the guy that you're building the entire company around. He's the prodigal son who returned, and where he's in the front row? What? Do you think that The Rock would have been in the front row if Hollywood Hogan, brother, had come out and said what he needed to say, brother? Is Stone Cold Steve Austin going to be in the front row, brother? No, absolutely not. If Stone Cold Steve Austin came out and had to say, what? And John Cena's out in the front row? No, it's not going to happen. What are we doing? Come on, why? Now, granted, I'm not even the biggest Cody Rhodes fan, right? I had a lot of critical things to say during his AEW run, but since he's left and things in AEW have gone very sideways, give the guy credit. And the chase to the championship on the part of Cody, great. The championship run itself leaves a lot to be desired, in my opinion, but that's fine. You don't have to agree. But man, to have him in the stands as The Rock kind of cuts this promo. And then eventually, The Rock, who there was kind of tension with Roman Reigns, The Rock then says that, he believes in his cousin, Roman Reigns. And then we get the tribal combat match. And so I'm going to kind of speed through a lot of this, but tribal combat match is the same tribal combat match we've seen anytime they've done tribal combat. You get some of the new bloodline, some of the old bloodline. The biggest shock is probably Kevin Owens coming out of nowhere, delivering a stunner to Roman Reigns in the corner. But this felt like a conclusive end to the bloodline saga, at least as it pertains to the new bloodline versus the old bloodline, because Roman pinning Solo Sikoa, I don't know how Solo recovers. And it's not like it's the first time that Solo has had to eat the pin. I don't know where, I thought all along the idea was going to be that Jacob Fatu was going to be the ultimate X Factor, and that through Jacob Fatu's interference, Solo would be able to come out on the winning side against Roman Reigns, and that maybe eventually Jacob Fatu could replace Solo Sikoa as the head of this new bloodline. And hell, maybe it'll happen. Maybe what they're trying to do here is maybe Solo's going to acknowledge Roman Reigns, and then Jacob Fatu's going to say nay, nay. And maybe Jacob Fatu then leads Tongaloa and Tama Tonga and maybe a couple of other potentially debuting members of the bloodline to form his own. Now, do I think that Jacob Fatu is an exponentially scarier, more believable front-facing character than Solo right now? I do. I really do. Do I think that Jacob Fatu face-to-face with Roman Reigns is a more believable, Roman's in deep shit here kind of peril? I do. Do I think that's where this is going? I don't know. It really felt like a definitive end, which then brings me back to The Rock because, all right, well, if you're not going to kind of lead this to Rock versus Cody at Mania, or you're not going to lead it to Rock versus Roman, is The Rock really done? Was the choke slam by The Undertaker really the definitive moment? Because remember, at Bad Blood, The Rock came out as the final boss and gave the throat slash. So there's cognitive dissonance here. It doesn't totally make sense. That leads to Tuesday, where The Rock cuts another promo where he says that the final boss is always thinking 20 steps ahead, and the people just need to know their role, shut their mouths, and enjoy the ride that The Rock takes them on, which all sounds great in theory. And he might take people on a ride. And this might end up somehow turning into the final boss times 2, or the final boss turned up to 110%, maybe even beyond that. Good luck. I don't know how you're going to get there, but good luck. I saw a lot of people saying that with Raw, it was, you got Dwayne Johnson, you got the TKO board member, because it was important to kind of bring back in the casual fan, and the casual fan who might be on Netflix says, oh, I remember that, and they see The Rock and they go, oh, okay. And maybe it doesn't make sense to the casual fan that The Rock would come out and start cutting a heel promo on Cody Rhodes, but we all remember that Saturday Night's main event happened, not that long ago, right? We remember that kind of felt like a house show with all the great nostalgia and Jesse Ventura being there, but it felt kind of like a house show, ultimately. And it felt like a show that was dedicated more to the casual fan than the fan that's been keeping up with it all along. And I get it. You only get a few opportunities to try to pull in that casual fan. But I felt like they did it once already, and it maybe didn't need to be done again to the same extent.